Coming up on Inside the Summit League, this guy is leading the nation in taking the basketball away from the other team, and he plays in Omaha. This guy is using boxing to be better in basketball, and he plays in Denver. And this young woman has one of the best shots you will ever see, and she is making a mark in her first season at the University of South Dakota. Welcome to the show. Some really good stories coming up. And every player, every team, every league wants to be good, and they want to have a way to measure how good they are. In basketball, one measuring stick is the RPI, the Ratings Percentage Index. And it takes into account your winning percentage and your opponent's winning percentage and your opponent's winning percentage. And it puts all that into a nice little number that you can rank from 1 to 351 in the case of all the Division I teams, or 1 to 32 in the case of all the Division I conferences. And the bottom line is that in men's basketball, the Summit League is achieving its highest rankings ever in the RPI standings. We were 10th out of 32 at one point last week, and that is due to things like beating teams from the Big Ten, Western Illinois' win over Wisconsin, South Dakota State beating Minnesota, and then there are wins over good mid-major programs like Omaha winning at Montana State, Denver beating Weber State on Sunday, and all of this makes our commissioner very happy because he looks at it every day and it makes him very proud.
Our men's RPI is as high as it's ever been in the history of our league. We've had 3 road wins against the Big Ten. We lead this country in road wins. We have the most number of road wins than any other league in the country, and that's a lot to be said. Anytime you win on the road, that says a lot about your team. So our men's programs are doing a fantastic job.
Yes, they are. Now, the other thing that we know that gets the commissioner excited is talking about new facilities around the Summit League. He was in Vermilion over the weekend to get a look at South Dakota's new basketball and volleyball arena that is set to open next year.
These new facilities are great recruiting tools for future student athletes. It brings the whole level of the league up when you walk into a visiting opponent and they're coming to a Summit League facility and it's brand new or upgraded. It just brings that whole level up to Division I caliber status, and that's what we're after. You know, when we look at what's been invested in the last few years with new facilities and with our improved teams, it's just a winning combination.
All right, just over 2 weeks now until we get into Summit League play in basketball. In the meantime, more top-notch performances in non-conference action, and DeAndre Parks at South Dakota State is the men's player of the week. He had 21 points in the Jackrabbit win at Minnesota, SDSU's first win ever over the Gophers. And Parks stayed hot on Sunday, had 23 in a home win against Santa Barbara. Parks is leading the league in free throw shooting right now at 93%. He's made 34 in a row at the free throw line. Well, up next, the national leader in steals per game right now plays in the Summit League. Tridion Hollins has come home to Omaha to add even more speed to the Maverick lineup. His story coming up next.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back. Tridion Hollins is the national leader right now in steals per game in men's basketball. He's getting more than 4 every night out. That is amazing. Hollins is from Omaha. He went to Central High School there, left his hometown to go to a community college in Nebraska for a year. He went to another JUCO in Florida last year. He was dismissed from the program there, and now he has come full circle back home to Omaha to play in the Summit League in his hometown. And so far, he and the Mavericks are getting along just fine.
Just underway in another steal. Tridion Hollins with a pick. Tridion Hollins back the other way for the Mavs. Driving layup is good! And he'll have a chance to complete the three-point play.
It's funny how it worked out because I never saw myself playing for a school in Nebraska because I just didn't. I thought it was the way to go being far away. And when I went far away, I didn't like it as much. I felt forgotten about and not loved. So being in my home city, I feel like this is a dream come true, and this is what Division I basketball is. At first, my teammates really, they didn't have a feel for me. So when I first got on the team, I felt like the outsider. Like everybody had these inside jokes I really didn't know about, and I didn't get as many be myself. I'm not somebody that's going to try to be something I'm not, and that's what I love about Coach Handers and the coaching staff. They allow me to just be me, to be creative on the court, and play off myself basketball-wise, like throwing passes to Trayshawn and Jake, and just getting everybody involved, and then going on the defensive end and just selling out. We got our potential is through the ceiling. We have, like you said, some young players and a transfer. So as soon as we find out what our strong points and weaknesses are and help each other benefit from our strong points, people better watch out. The Summer League better watch out, just because we, like Coach Hansen did and the coaching staff did such a great job recruiting and getting all these different things and combining them is exciting. It's just fun basketball to be around.
And they are fun scoring, and they are last in the league in giving up points right now already this season. Devin Patterson is averaging a game, and they lost this one to Eastern Michigan, but Omaha is 5-5 overall right now. Women's basketball coming up next, including an unbelievable comeback win for South Dakota State against Northern Iowa, and a transfer player at the University of South Dakota who has almost as many brothers and sisters as she does teammates right now.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back now to women's basketball, and 5 teams in the Summit League are at 500 or better through 10 games so far against some really good pre-conference competition. South Dakota's women are 6-4. They had a good win over Drake. Omaha and IUPUI are both 7-3 right now, and South Dakota State is 8-2. The Jackrabbits have won 5 games in a row, including a miraculous double overtime win at home against Northern Iowa. UNI leads by 13 at halftime. SDSU comes back and sends it to overtime. And at the end of the first overtime, Northern Iowa leads by 2. 5 seconds left in the game. They miss a free throw. Lexi Alexander gets it for the Jackrabbits, goes screaming to the hoop, lays it in with 1/10 of a second on the clock, and that sends it to a second overtime. In the second OT, Gabby Bover with a three-pointer to put South Dakota State ahead, and then Carrie Young with a beautiful assist to Ellie Thompson for the final bucket. Jackrabbits with an improbable 89-86 win over Northern Iowa. Ellie Thompson earns Player of the Week honors in large part to what she did in that game. 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 steals for Thompson. She had 12 points and 5 boards in the SDSU win at Creighton as well. And you've got Akila Sims at IUPUI, made 10 of 15 shots on her way to 22 points and 8 boards in a win over SIU Edwardsville, and then 15 points in a loss to Louisville. Sims shot 73% in those 2 games. Well, South Dakota should be one of the top teams in the league this year in women's basketball. They already had Nicole Seekamp and Taya Heemiller coming back this year. And the Coyotes have added a transfer from Colorado State named Caitlin Duffy, who comes from a big basketball family. Here is Nicole Griffith in Vermilion.
After 2 years at Colorado State and playing under former USD head coach Ryan Williams, junior Caitlin Duffy made the decision to return to her home state. We caught up with Duffy as she prepares for her first year back on the court in a Coyote uniform and learned what it's like growing up with 7 basketball-playing siblings. Duffy, a Rapid City native, set out last season due to NCAA transfer rules and was ready to make an impact this season.
I really treated practices sort of like a game for myself because I needed some sort of like competitive outlet because I just having to sit on the bench, especially as like conference progressed, it was really hard to be sitting there watching. But at the same time, looking back, if I hadn't had a year to kind of get used to like a new system, a new school, just a new environment, it would have been, I think, more of a challenging transition.
Duffy will have a familiar face on the court with her next year as her sister Kira, one of her 7 siblings, has committed to play basketball for the Yotes.
Oh my gosh, And honestly, when I decided to come here, that wasn't even really on my radar screen. I didn't know what Kira was thinking, and it's crazy. It really just reaffirms that everything happens for a reason, and that I think God had a plan in all of this. And getting the chance to play with Kira, who I never got to play with in high school, is just kind of icing on the cake.
Being the oldest girl in the family, Duffy looked up to her brothers growing up and says they've made her the player she is today.
There's definitely some intense one-on-one games in our driveway, for sure. I would tag along to their practices where my dad was coaching them, and it definitely toughened me up a lot, for sure. And my dad would always tell me that I needed to earn the right to get to play with them, so I would be on the other end while they were practicing, working on my game and stuff. And they never took it easy on me, which then once I transitioned into playing myself, I think it helped a lot, for sure.
Another adjustment Duffy has made is in the classroom.
When I was in Colorado, I was a biology major, and that was another kind of shift that happened. So when I came here, I kind of went the other end of the spectrum, and I'm doing history, philosophy, and criminal justice. So I'm thinking about law school. But honestly, I absolutely love the professors here. Haven't taken a class that I haven't really enjoyed. So, my future for sure is not, set in stone, but I love the track that I'm on right now, so we'll see.
Well, Duffy's dad is a lawyer. He was a great college player back in the early 1980s. Caitlin's already one of the Summit League's best shooters. She has made more three-pointers than anybody else so far this season. Well, more women's basketball when we come back. Good story from Omaha on a new player this year finding her way into the Mavericks starting lineup. And an emotional story from Denver might make you tear up a little bit when the Pioneer women visit some great kids in the hospital.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back. More women's basketball. Abby Lujan is from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. That is prime recruiting ground for the University of Denver. But after high school, Lujan did not stay in the state. She went to junior college in Nebraska, and she has now found a home in the starting lineup at the University of Omaha.
We're down to 10 on the shot clock. She'll aim to create something here. Vidal will drive, kick. Lujan, three on the way. Booyah! She hits the three to open up the scoring for the Mavericks.
First I went to junior college because I didn't get the looks that I wanted, and I felt like I could play at the next level. I knew I had to come in as a leader. I didn't know where though or how to. I think once the season went on, I found my role and what I needed to do, but at first it was coming in fresh, didn't know what to do. So my first impression of the coaches was it was a family. I felt really welcomed. I felt like it was a good place for me. There was a very diverse group of coaches to make me feel at home. And then also the arena. I mean, playing in Baxter is awesome. We have one of the best arenas in the league. As far as being a UNO player and like the experience, I'm a little behind. As far as like the basketball knowledge, I think I've had that of my 2 years of JUCO at the level. It's just trying to get in this program and starting to put it together. I think the speed of the game is a little bit faster, and they're more physical teams who play against bigger players, so that's also a challenge. But other than that, I think the knowledge is what helps me get through it. I think we're still in the learning process. We have a lot of room to grow. We're slowly taking baby steps, but I feel like if we keep taking these steps and moving forward, we can be a good team.
Well, Lujan has started every game so far for the Mavericks. Omaha has won 4 of its last 5 games, including a 15-point victory over former Summit League member Kansas City. Lujan had 12 rebounds in that game, second time this season that she has had a dozen in one game. And another new player for Omaha, freshman Amber Vidal, had a season-high 20 points as the Mavericks beat the Kangaroos 57-42. Omaha will host in-town rival Creighton coming up this Sunday. Well, some call it team building, some call it community service. A lot of Summit League teams get out in their cities and go to work as volunteers and goodwill ambassadors. And on one recent outing for the Denver women's basketball team, they say they got more than they gave. Here is Marissa Belzer with that story.
Puts a lot of things into perspective.
The University of Denver's women's basketball team spent some off time at Children's Hospital Colorado recently, and it was a trip they won't forget.
We brought our team to visit the children here, knowing all the struggles that they're going through, just here to brighten someone's day. And I think the neatest thing that we got out of it is we weren't here, we did brighten their day, but they brightened our day more than I think we've ever expected.
The Pioneers were guests on the internal radio show, which broadcast to all the rooms throughout the hospital. They also went room to room in hopes of bringing some smiles to the children going through a tough time.
One of the things about being here that I love most is how much people are trying to help them and how bright the rooms are and how, they're really trying to give them a good experience, even though, there's things kicking them down. There's a lot of people picking them back up.
The players even got to spend some time with a local celebrity at Children's Colorado, Carson, and he was thrilled to break the Pios out of a huddle.
Denver on three! 1, 2, 3, Denver!
This little young man named Carson, I mean, he is just a bundle of energy and just loves sports, and you can tell he's just a competitor, and that's the neat thing about it too. I mean, he is, he's fighting a tough battle, but he has the biggest heart and just a wonderful presence about him, and you just know he's going to just be just fine.
The players experienced a range of emotions during their visit, but it was the positive attitudes of the children that made the experience unforgettable.
It's been tough. I've walked into a lot of rooms and had to walk right back out. Because you don't really know, I can walk, I can breathe, I can play basketball every day, but they can't. Just to see the strength that they have, and our problems seem so minor compared to what they deal with every day, but yet the energy and the strength that they bring, even just sitting in there in a hospital bed and maybe not even be able to walk, it just gives us, I think, so much confidence and, blessing in knowing that we have that. So let's use it. Let's use it to our advantage.
Along with putting things into perspective, visiting the hospital also reminded the Pioneers that life is precious and they should live it to its fullest.
It's way bigger than the game. It's way bigger than what we do on the basketball court. To see this time that they have with these children and their lives change immediately, and just the character of each of the individual players that are in our program. And then that's just the character of our program. Very genuine, good-hearted kids that just want to do whatever they can to give. And you see that today. And I think they walk away from here just knowing they have an opportunity, and they're very blessed. They're playing a game, and they're healthy, and never lose sight of all that you have.
Well, hopefully they are keeping a good attitude right now. The Pioneer women had lost 6 in a row, but they ended that streak with the win over Wisconsin-Milwaukee on Monday night. All 6 of the losses before that have been close. Louisiana Tech got them by 5. Seattle got them by 8. Pepperdine got them by 4. Wyoming got them by 11 in this game, despite 20 points from Jacqueline Poss for Denver. And the Pioneers have a couple of home games coming up this week on Thursday and Sunday. Well, up next, we'll stay in Denver for the campus spotlight. What can basketball and boxing possibly have in common? Quite a bit, actually. You'll hear how it helped one Denver player bring a little more fight to his game.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
We take you to Denver this week in the campus spotlight, and there are a lot of ways to get your mind and your body in shape to play basketball, but this is definitely a different kind of workout for one Pioneer player. Here again is Marissa Belzer with the story.
Boxing and basketball. Not exactly two sports you would think complement each other, but Denver basketball senior Nate Ingesser found out during the offseason the two go hand in hand.
The seniors coming back, Coach met with each of us individually, and it was his idea, to bring me in here and do the boxing, do the physical training of something different other than basketball.
When I was in college playing the summer before my senior year, I worked with DeVero. I had found out about him through a friend who was an NBA coach, and I needed to get in shape. I needed something to toughen me up, and he told me to try it, and it was one of the best workouts I had ever done. And when Coach was looking for something to kind of help Nate, something other than basketball, this was the first thing I thought of.
Along with his regular team workouts, Nate spent 2 days a week for 4 weeks in the ring, something he had never done before this summer.
First time walking in here and putting the gloves on and wrapping up, it was the first time I've ever experienced anything like that. So it was definitely different, but I got used to it over the course of when we were in here.
Nate may have been new to boxing, but his trainer wasn't. DeVeril Touch of Sleep Williamson is an MA Hall of Famer and 2-time Golden Glove champion.
So I was like, hey, Nate, here we go, this is the boxing gym. Introduced me to the speed bag, to some of the push-ups, to sit some of the things that he was maybe accustomed to, but just in a different level. I want him to be able to think when he's tired. I want him to be able to make better decisions on and off the court as well.
The workouts DeVeril put Nate through were nothing short of difficult, but they were also aimed at making him a better basketball player.
It's actually an exhausting workout. It's one of the hardest workouts I've ever done is getting in here. In the boxing ring, you can't stop until you hear the bell. That physical fitness part of it was different at first, but I think it translated to the court, just never stop playing.
The physical aspect of boxing is just half of what Nate experienced this summer. The rest was all mental.
The mental aspect of basketball is huge. I mean, you have to be mentally tough, mentally strong. And then being in this ring for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep moving, you gotta keep just fighting. Really, that's what translates to the basketball court, is just being ready to be physical. It's a fight every possession. You gotta be ready for that.
Well, something is working for Engesser. He leads Denver in scoring right now, 16 points a game. He's coming off the bench, and he is leading all Summit League players in three-point shooting. He's making 55% at the three-point line right now. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on Inside the Summit League.